This adorable little box came with some lotion in it. And when I got the lotion, I could not throw this box away. You know I could not throw it away. I was trying to peel the paper off, and some of it came off easy, some of it did not. So I just decided I'm going to decoupage over it anyway. I'll just give it a coat of faded burlap. So I ended up giving it 2 coats of faded burlap. I did not paint that top lip that goes under the lid because you will not see it when the lid is on. And the color does not look bad with the decoupage paper that I ended up using. So I'm just showing you that I got it all painted. Now I'm trying to decide what part of this paper that I want to use. This decoupage paper is from Brandy over at the DIYstruggle.com, and she has beautiful decoupage papers, some stencils, and just a lot of really pretty, nice, beautiful things. So if you're not familiar with her website, be sure to go over and check it out. Check out her YouTube channel. She has really great tutorials on how to do decoupage. That brush over there on the right, that fan brush I'm going to use to decoupage, is absolutely the best brush to decoupage with. I didn't know what all the hype was about it when I watched her use it, but she definitely has figured it out. It's the best brush to decoupage with. Now, I just took a paintbrush and some water and just made a little line and just tore my paper. If you like a straight edge, just cut it. But I like that little torn edge to decoupage with. Now I've got it to fit all the way around my box, and now I'm going to take my Mod Podge. Now I bought a gallon of Mod Podge. I've told y'all this several times back in 2018, and I am still using it. Now the trick is to wet your decoupage paper. Now Brandy says give it a little spritzy spritz. I love that. She is so adorable. If you're not watching her, what are you doing with your life? Yes, go over and watch her. Now I'm just going to spread the Mod Podge on with this fan brush. This fan brush is everything, y'all. It is everything. And I have fan brushes in my stash, but the bristles on this one, I don't know. I just love it. And here I'm just struggling, fumbling, trying to figure out how to do it, but I finally figure it out. And then I lay my wet decoupage paper down, get it all nice and smooth, and then just with the excess decoupage medium Mod Podge on the brush, I smooth that wet paper out, and there are no wrinkles. No wrinkles whatsoever. It works like magic. And this decoupage paper is so pretty, y'all. It's so pretty. And I did tape off the top of that part of the box because I wanted it to stay nice and clean while I was working on the rest of it. Now, don't worry about the top and the bottom where this doesn't go all the way down, because we're going to do something to make that beautiful. Now, I covered the lid too. I covered around the sides and the top, and I did the inside of it as well. I don't show every little piece of that because it's very redundant. And once you know how to Mod Podge, it's not really necessary to show you all of it. But I am going to show you how I did these sides because it was really easy. And I just lined it up along the bottom, just like so. And then I left a little bit across the top. And then I put that little Mod Podge in there. And then I just folded it over and folded it in. And it worked so good, y'all. It worked so good. And then I just lined the bottom up where it was nice and straight, and it just folded over there because that paper was wet. It had a little bubble under there, so I just used the end of my paintbrush to just smooth it out a little bit. And so I did this all the way around. And then when I go to put the piece on top, it lays right over that part that's folded down. I had a really good idea for once. I didn't have to do it twice. I did it right the first time. It's kind of rare for me. Do y'all have, there's that little piece that ripped off. It's a good thing about decoupaging too. You just put your little pieces and piece them together. Am I the only one that has to do and redo? Or do you just get your idea and you map it all out and it just works good the first time because you think things through and it all works. I hope you're that kind of person, but that is not how I craft. Now, I'm going to cut a little hole, a little X right in the middle to go over that little ball on top for our handle. And we're going to fix that too. It was silver when I got it. Give it a little spray. And then we're going to put our Mod Podge on the top. And you're going to see how that lays right on top of that part I folded over the top. I'm just going to lay that right over there and then put it down with the Mod Podge. Right, get a little hair in the way. Can't be a video without a little bit of the top of your head in it. Then I'm just going to smooth that extra pieces down. Worked great. Now, I tried to decide. I had gotten these metallic rub and buffs at the crafting thrift store I've told you all about. It's the link to it. They have a website. It's in the description box below. It's called the Thistle Creative Reuse or something like that. I always get the name of it wrong, but this was so pretty. It was a rose gold, but it really did not match the decoupage paper. There was a copper. I thought, oh, this copper one is going to really look good. So I tried it on the inside of one of the legs, and it was okay, but it's not really what the look I was going for. So I just got my bronze out that I use all the time, and I painted the inside and outside of these legs, and then I went along the outside edge. You'll see it just a minute. I'm just showing you right here. I just went along that outside edge up to where that paper was ripped, and it just looks like it's supposed to be that way. I love how that turned out. It matches that paper so good, and I think it looks good. If you don't like it, that's fine with me. You don't have to like it, but anyhoozle, moving right along. I did the knob in that same color as well, so it's all cohesive and all matchy-matchy. And all looks good. Then I had a little part that ripped, and you could see a little bit of that white paper. So I took what little bit of dark wax was left in my brush from the last project, and I just went over that, and I went around the edges of the box to bring it all together, and you can't even tell. Now, I got this new chiffon ribbon. Y'all, it is like crinkled, and it has a little bit of body to it, and it's not wired at all, but it's so pretty. It is so pretty. So I really wanted to make a little that right there. I wanted that to work for this, but it just wouldn't work. I just couldn't make it work with that lid. I really tried. But if you wanted to use it for practical reasons and take the lid off and on, if you weren't going to take the lid off and on, there you go. Beautiful. Perfect. But you take the lid off and on, and yeah, it didn't work. So, and you can see that peach on there is not horrible. And you're not going to see it when the lid's on, but if you take the lid off, it's not horrible. We're going to take this little crocheted ribbon and just put it around the top there, because that looks pretty. And then we will use that chiffon ribbon. It's kind of a gauzy chiffon ribbon. It is so pretty. I don't even know where I got that. I think I got that off Amazon, actually. I'm going to take a little string, a little piece of string. I think this is embroidery floss. And I'm just going to tie a little knot in the middle of it. I'm going to glue that right in the center. And then I am going to put a button. Am I going to show you the buttons? I can't remember if I edited it out. No. I got this jar of buttons on Whatnot, and they are vintage buttons. And look at all these buttons, y'all. Am I going to show them to you? Yes. Not all of them, but I'm going to show you these buttons. Look at these gorgeous buttons. I couldn't decide. There were so many buttons to choose from. I just could not decide. But finally, I just chose one. I just picked one and glued it on. And it's beautiful. So you'll have to let me know what you think about this little box. Is this too much trouble, upcycling an old box? Do you think it is? Or do you think it would be pretty? Because like you could put it in your bathroom and put cotton balls in it or Q-tips in it, or you could put hair ties in it. You could put a bottle of lotion in it. You could use it as a gift box to give to someone. I don't know. Let me know. Is it too much trouble? Or is it worth it? This little Dollar Tree decor piece has been in my stash for quite some time. I had to dig deep to find this one. And I'm just going to cut that little cow off because I just want the little shadow box. It came off so easy. I just took my X-Acto knife and ran it across there a few times and bent it, and voila, it came off. I'm going to take my little finger sander and just sand it smooth and sand all the edges smooth so that the paint will be smooth on there. It was just a little bit rough, not bad, and it was a quick sand. I sanded the back a little bit. I just want the paint to go on smooth and adhere easily, and to get the inside, I just put the sandpaper over the edge of my finger sander a little bit, and that was super easy. And I wasn't trying to get all of that off. I just wanted it to be smooth so that my paint would go on evenly, because we're going to put some decoupage paper on there. I'm going to take Beadboard by DIY and give this all a really good coat. I may have done 2 coats. I did at least 1 coat, I know. And I have this beautiful strawberry decoupage paper from Decoupage Central. I will try to remember to link that website in my description box. I just cut out the piece I wanted and centered it how I wanted it to be inside this little box. I'm going to take my fingernail and I'm going to crease it down in there really good, and then I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and kind of score it a little bit. I didn't really want to cut it too much because sometimes I tear it or rip it, or I get it too short, or sometimes I just make a mess of things. But I just kind of scored it, and then I'm going to take my scissors and really trim it up so that it will fit inside. Well, then I trim a couple sides and put it back in there to measure again, because I have been known to really mess things up. So yeah, crease it again, cut that down, put it in, measure it again, and I still managed to get one little piece a little bit crooked in there, but it's okay. It's okay. And so what I ended up doing was taking some crinoline. I took my paint swatches out and found which paint would match the paper the best, and crinoline looked good. So I took the crinoline and just gave it a very messy coat on the inside. You can see I'm just really giving it a messy coat, but I'm really concentrating more around the edges where if the paper doesn't meet up, that's okay. Now, once that was dry, I'm taking Mod Podge. Now, see, I'm trying to find the bottom so that I make sure that that paper has a top and a bottom to it, so that where I cut that cow off will be the bottom. Now, I gave that decoupage paper what my friend Brandy says, a little spritzy spritz. I love that. She is the cutest thing. If you're not watching Brandy from the DIY Struggle, you should definitely go over and give her a watch. She is hilarious. She's funny. Her videos are so fun to watch, and she does a lot of decoupage. She does a lot of really simple, easy to do Dollar Tree and decoupage items. I love watching her videos. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just doing a little bit at a time using her fan brushes that she has on her website. That will be linked in the description box as well. And I love to decoupage with these fan brushes. They are everything. And I used to only use the iron-on method, or I didn't decoupage. Now with these fan brushes and her decoupage method that I learned from her, oh my, yes. Okay, of course, I'm going to use some chiffon ribbon. Who said otherwise? Anyway, we're going to take some red chiffon ribbon. We're just going to tie a little knot over here, maybe a little bow. I can't remember what I did. Yep, we're going to tie a little bow over in the corner. And this DIY is done. It's going to be adorable on my tier tray. This pretty little blue napkin, a little mini cutting board, a little bunny, and some Hey Sailor, and some beadboard. Now, we're going to start by sanding this little cutting board a little bit. This is from my mini cutting board stash that I've had from Aldi. We're going to paint the sides and the top of this, or the back of this, in the Hey Sailor. I'm going to seal it good with Big Top by DIY. And then we're going to cut our napkin down to size. This is a beautiful napkin that my friend Myra from Farm Fresh Design 59 sent to me in a big gift that she sent me, a bunch of goodies. But this was one of the goodies in there, and I think it's beautiful. Blue is my favorite color, and this I love navy, and I love every shade of blue. So I'm peeling it apart, and I'm going to iron it, because you know how sometimes those napkins have those annoying little divots on the bottom of them. Yeah, so anyway. So, yeah, I'm not real sure I painted this with beadboard. I think I just left it gray, because even though you can see through this, the gray looked fine behind it. So once that Mod Podge was completely dry, we're going to iron on our napkin. And then I'm going to take a file and I'm going to file it off. Now, this file was kind of rough with my delicate little napkin, and so it left the edge a little bit rough. So I took a finer, it was kind of like a buffing file, and I just kind of smoothed it. It wasn't rough enough to actually cut the paper, so I just used it to kind of buff it and smooth it out. Now I'm going to take that beautiful white DIY white wax, and go around the edges on the blue a little bit. And then I did just seal the napkin with the white wax as well, because you couldn't really see the white on top of that. And then I gave it all a clear coat to seal the paint in. And this is maybe my very favorite one in this video. So I had just a little scrap of this navy ribbon. I made a cute little bow. And then this little bunny was in a pack of bunnies from Dollar Tree. And I just had it in my stash, you know, because I never need the whole pack. So just use one and then save the rest for another day. Well, it's another day, so we're going to use it. And then I decided I wanted to white wax him a little bit so that he was not quite so wood grain looking. And this is it. We're just going to glue everything down. And I think it turned out so cute. I love this. I love that first tray, and I love this one. Okay, I'm going to poke a hole through there so we can have our little hole so we can put a little hanger on it. I'm not going to hang it. It will be a little shelf sitter, but it just looks cute to have the little hanger. So I'm trying to decide if I want the blue twine or if I want the cream twine. And I choose the cream because I didn't want that blue was too close to the blue. And then I don't know, I just chose it. Like I say in every video, there's no rhyme or reason to why I do most of the things that I do. So I'm just going to pull that through, tie a little knot, and this one is done, I think. Let's see if I do something else. I think that's it. Cut it however long you want it, and there it is. You can just do the simplest little things and make something beautiful. This little wooden caddy looks like it was from the 90s. That heart gives it away. I just gave it a good cleaning with some cleaner and my rag and took it outside and sanded it down a little bit. And I love how chippy it looks. I love the look it gave. But the inside of it, I could not get to look like I wanted it to. I love how the handle's all chippy. But the inside, I couldn't get it in there to sand it. I couldn't get it to look like I wanted it to. And I was going to put some decoupage paper in there anyway. So I love this. This is from Roy Cycled. I got it from Sammy over at unicorndustdesigns.com. And now I'm going to just fit this down in so I'm using the bottom side of it to measure it, but I'm just using my fingernail to press it in there to see how big I want it. Then I'm just going to cut the paper down to the size and what I want. Now, we are going to keep those scraps because you're going to see what I'm going to do with the scraps later on in this video. We don't throw anything away. Obviously, I inherited that trait. Okay, so I'm going to spritz. My friend Brandy says give it a little spritzy spritz. I love that. If you're not watching Brandy from the DIY Struggle, go over and check her out. She is amazing. She is so fun to watch. Now I'm going to use Mod Podge with this decoupage paper, and I'm just going to squirt some Mod Podge, and I'm going to use this fan brush. Now these you can get from Brandy on her website, DIYstruggle.com, and I learned to use these from her, and I used to not like to do anything but the iron-on method, but since I started using this fan brush to do decoupage, it is a game changer. And wetting the decoupage paper. All the tricks. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just using whatever leftover Mod Podge was on the brush and the moisture from the paper to adhere it down. I'm going to continue with this method all the way across, just doing small little sections at a time. I did get a lot of Mod Podge on there to start with. I normally just do a little bit at a time, but I got a lot on there. A little bit overkill. So it works out fine though. I just put the paper down a little bit at a time. No wrinkles at all. This is just a great method. Oh, got my paper a little bit too long. No worries. I'm going to be super careful because this paper's wet. I'm going to go really slow and use my X-Acto knife and get rid of that paper. Now, I had these resin pieces already poured, and I had a pig and a sheep and some flowers and some wheat. So we're going to cover up those holes. Those hearts, those cut out hearts. Yes, we're going to cover those up. We're going to make these look a little more modern. So I'm going to take Old School. It's a very nice charcoal gray, and I'm going to stipple it over this. I believe I did 2 coats because I wanted it to be nice and thick on there. And then once that is completely dry, I'm going to use Cake Batter by DIY. I get all my DIY paints, IOD products, Saltwash, all the goodies from Sammy over at unicorndustdesigns.com. So head over there if you're interested. I'm going to use some faded burlap on the sheep. No, sandy blonde. I told the story. I'm going to use sandy blonde on the sheep. And we're going to stipple that on there really good. I'm going to take vintage linen. I'm going to put that on the little flowers. I'm just going to cover the entire thing with 1 coat. It's got nice coverage. Taking the vintage linen and dry brushing our little piggy to bring out all the details. Same method I used with the chicken earlier. Chicken, hen, rooster, whatever that was. I'm going to do the same thing with the wheat. Just bringing out the texture, bringing out the details, giving it all a good dry brush, like a whitewash. Now I'm going to glue it on. I'm going to use my Titebond Quick and Thick. I always say use it in the middle and the hot glue on the outside. Don't know why. Didn't do it on this one, but just a little here, a little there. The hot glue is going to help it to hold quickly while the Titebond dries. The Titebond dries very quickly, but this is going to keep it in place because we want to move on. We need to move on. Move on with the next step. And then I'm going to glue those little wheat pieces on the edges like you see me doing right here. And boom, boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. This is how I'm doing it. I think it turned out really super cute this way. I love using these resin pieces. If you don't have the resin pieces, you could pull pieces off of other projects from Dollar Tree. I have a drawer full of things that I've pulled off of Dollar Tree projects and never used, and so you could use something like that. Now, I had this clay that I didn't really love. I've kind of learned to love it recently, but I decided to use it up. I'm going to fill this hole. Now, you could fill this hole with numerous things. But I'm going to fill it with this clay. I'm just going to poke it in there, and remember that our sheep and our pig are on the other side. Okay, so we're going to fill the hole. I'm going to use my little putty knife to make it smooth, and then I'm going to get out this Rosette's mold by IOD. I use this is probably one of my most used molds, and I'm going to choose this mold right here because I think it kind of looks like a sunflower. Sort of, kind of. Well, you should use your imagination, okay? And I'm going to use some cornstarch in there so that my clay won't stick. This clay did not stick. I was going to use the air dry clay, but this is, I can't even remember what it's called. I'll try to remember to link it in the description box if I can remember what it's called. It's very light and airy and almost rubbery, but see how it popped out so quick? But it will lose its shape very, very easy. So I'm going to use some Titebond Quick and Thick to glue it in there. And then I'm going to, before I glue it, I'm going to trim out where that handle is so that I can get it to go right up underneath the handle. That's what I'm doing right here. Just use that X-Acto knife and then press it up underneath, get it all nice. Now the first one I did like this, and then I glued it with some Titebond, and then I painted it with, pretty sure I used cake batter. Might be faded burlap, friends. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was cake batter. The second time when I did it on the other side, I painted it first and then glued it. Worked much better. Yes, this is definitely cake batter. Okay, so I had to change brushes, get a smaller brush, and it was just a little bit more tedious to do this. This is not air dry clay. It's a different kind of clay. But anyway, it worked out great. It worked out perfect. So now I have some of this drop cloth, canvas drop cloth, and this ticking fabric. This is a cotton fabric. It's not a heavy duty ticking like you would actually make a pillow out of. And I just cut and ripped some strips, and I'm going to wrap that little piece around the center to make a bow. Just a little messy, floppy bow. And then I'm going to fluff it, fluff it, fluff it, pull all the little loops out, and fluff, fluff, fluff till your little heart's content. Then I'm going to take another little strip around the center, and I'm going to tie it to the handle of our caddy. It's going to make it so cute, my friends. It's going to be so cute because it matches our decoupage paper. How fun is this? This is so cute. Wait until you see how I styled it up with some old vintage bobbins, threaded bobbins. Look how cute that is. I'm just checking to see if that's really what I want to do. And I decided it was. I tied this in a double knot. I cut off the excess. Boom, just like that. And this project is complete. And it's double-sided. This clock was probably from the 90s. It was in my mama's little shop out there where she had all her little thrifted stuff. So I took the clock part out. Yeah, I'm like showing you all the little bugs and spiders I had to clean off of it. I cleaned it up real good with some cleaner and took the clock part out. And then, yeah, I cleaned it really good because it was dirty, my friends. And then I sanded it down a little bit with a pretty rough grit sandpaper because I wanted my paint to stick to it good. Because I don't even know where this had been, what it had seen, you know. I took this gesso from Folk Art that I had in my stash. Someone gave this to me. I did not purchase it. I thought this was only for canvas, but it's not. I used it on here and it worked great. Worked like a charm. I gave this entire piece a really good coat of this, and the wood, all of it. I thought I was going to, I started thinking I was going to go one direction, and then I ended up going a different direction. So you're going to see me like go, oh no, I didn't show that on camera. Good. So I started taping it off, and then I decided I was going to paint the entire thing with faded burlap. I love this color. It's such a beautiful color. So I paint the entire front of it. The back of it I painted with layered chocolate because I was afraid some of that old dark wood would, you know, the tannins and such would come through. So I have this. Remember that piece that we cut off for the caddy earlier? Well, this was part of that paper. I'm going to measure it out, see how much I need. I cut it, and then I'm going to do this little method where you get it wet and then rip it because I want that little torn edge. I just love that look. So I'm just showing you different ways that you can do that. I like to use my little putty knife. I feel like it gives me a little bit more control. Sometimes I just use my fingers and just rip it. No rhyme or reason always to why I do what I do. Now we're going to give it a little spritz with our mister. And I love this mister bottle. If you don't have one, you can get them on Amazon. I probably have it linked in my Amazon store if you're interested in going and checking that out. I have a lot of goodies linked in there that I love to craft with. So you can check that out if you're interested in seeing what I like. So same method here, nothing new. I'm just going to put that Mod Podge down right where I want it. I'm going to start with one little layer, making sure I get it all the way out to the edge of that piece of tile. I don't want it on the wood part, just on the tile part. And then I'm going to wet my brush down a little bit in that water that got on the table. And then I'm going to take my very wet decoupage paper. It's very wet. And I'm going to lay it right down on top of there and smooth it out with my paintbrush, just like we have done in previous projects. I know this may seem redundant, but remember, sometimes we have new friends here who haven't seen this process, and maybe it's new to them. So we're going to take our time and show them how to do it. Okay. This is normally how I do it, not like I did it on the caddy. So I just got a little too much Mod Podge on the other project. But this one, we're just going to put that Mod Podge down, making sure we're getting it all around the edges, friends, and then smooth it out with this wonderful fan brush. And look how beautiful it is. No wrinkles. I wouldn't even care if this had a little bit of wrinkles, but it doesn't. Okay, it's all completely dry. Everything's all dry. And now I'm going to get my black IOD ink out, and this beautiful hen rooster. Y'all tell me. I don't even know how to tell if it's a hen or a rooster or whatever just by looking at it like that. But we're going to call it a chicken. We're going to put this chicken on here with some ink. We're going to ink up our stamp really good, making sure we don't have any excess on the edges, and we're going to put it down all over. If it hangs over the edges, that's okay. That's okay. We like it. Okay. I'm going to grab this felt stamp press. It's a stamp presser. I don't really know what it's called. That's what I'm calling it. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting that around the edge because I want it to go off the edge over there. And then I'm just going to hold really tight with one hand. I am not lifting up my left hand. And then I'm going to smooth it down with my right hand with that presser, stamp presser. I have no idea what it's called. That's what I'm calling it. It's in my Amazon storefront, so go look and see what it's called. I have that little area right there, no problem. This is the glorious thing about these stamps. You can just go back and stamp right on top. Line it up and stamp back on top. I'm going to take some dark wax by IOD, just what was left in my brush from the previous project, which, you know, I always have a little left in there. And I'm just going to wax this part, the part that's faded burlap. I'm going to put some darker parts where I think it should be darker, and then the other parts just to seal it in, and I'm going to go over it, over the top of that stamp with, I think I sprayed it with a matte sealer. Okay, friends, this was not thrifted. My grandson picked picked this up for me at Ollie's for $1.99. So sweet, because he knew I would craft with it. I thought that was so sweet of him. It has a little stand or a little hanger. So we're going to take some of that paper that we had left over. And I love that I had one piece that was this direction and one piece that was that direction. Do you see that I have two different directions going here? I'm not going to show you every little single bit of how I did this, okay? But I'm going to put, so I have stripes going vertical and stripes going horizontal with this same decoupage paper that looks like ticking, okay? And then I painted one slat, and then I used some scrapbook paper on the other one. I wanted all the slats to look a little bit different, but, you know, go together, if that makes sense. You're going to see. I'm not going to leave you hanging, I promise. Okay, so here we go. We're just doing that same method that we've done on all the other projects. This should have been a decoupage project. I didn't realize I decoupaged so much in this video. It should have titled it a decoupage. Thrifting decoupage video. Okay, so here, now that was just a little bit long, so we're just going to pinch it off, have it look a little bit rustic, seal it all down, make sure it's all nice and sealed. Then I'm going to take Barn Red by Dixie Belle. This is a beautiful red, and I'm going to give it a rough, this is a very rough piece of wood, pallet wood, and I just gave it a rough coat. I didn't want full coverage. Now this scrapbook paper, same method I did with the decoupage paper. I wet the paper, and I'm using the Mod Podge. The same method works great. Then I sanded. I'm going to sand all of it a little bit, and just give it that rustic look. But when I sanded the paper on the very top rung, I kind of messed it up a little bit. So I decided to get out the DIY Dark and Decrepit. It's dirt. It's like dirt. So I decided to put some Mod Podge on those places where that scrapbook paper ended up being white. And then I just dusted a little bit of that Dark and Decrepit on there, and then I took a paintbrush and just sort of moved it around a little bit, got the excess off, and I ended up I just kept messing with it till I got the look I wanted, right? And then just getting it to look dirty. Where those edges, I could have done dark wax, but I really like how this turned out and looked. I really like how this turned out. I really like the way this looked. Oh boy, y'all hang with me, okay? Hang with me. We're going to glue this little metal decor piece from Dollar Tree. I haven't seen these farm animals there in a long time. I've had this in my stash. We're going to glue that on there, glue a little piece of twine, and give her a little bow to cover up that hole. And I was trying to figure out what to do with that other hole over there on the feathers. And I found this little tag in my stash that I had painted and never used. And so I thought, well, that might look kind of cute hanging there. Let's see if we can make it not look awkward. So I put a piece of red twine in it just to kind of tie in with the other red on there. And then I just wrote in my handwriting, "Welcome to our coop." And then I thought that looked a little too clean. So I took the sandpaper and I sanded the edges a little bit, and then I just sanded lightly over the words. Now I'm going to glue it right over that little hole, and nobody will ever know it's there unless you tell them. And then I'm going to glue the scarlet thread over and behind, and then cut off the excess, and this one will be done. So let me know what you think about these DIYs, my friend, and let me know which one is your favorite. Here is the package that Brandy sent over to me, the beautiful goodies. These are the wood embellishments that she sent, and I can't wait to show you what I created with one of them. They are such high quality. These are the fan brushes that she uses to decoupage with, and I know why they are her favorites because I love them too. I'm going to show you some of the decoupage paper that she sent me. What a beautiful blue owl. They are very high quality. The prices are very affordable. I suggest that you go over to her website and check out all of her products that she has. Look at that beautiful bee and the honeycomb and the hive. This paper has 4 different images on it. This is beautiful. Look at this Bingo ephemera decoupage paper. She's got it in multiple sizes with multiple images, lots of different colors. This is probably my favorite. I love it. Beautiful birds in lots of different colors. And this one we are going to use today. So stay tuned. Also, she sent me these stencils that she created. There are 2 sheets of it, and we're going to use that today too. Be sure to check out her channel if you are not familiar with her, and her website for all these products. I'm going to be using this little mini cutting board that I had used in a previous project. I just sanded it down to start over for this project. Today we are going to be using this little bingo card with the sunflower and a bird on it. I chose this one because I liked it. So I'm just going to cut it out, and I thought that I was going to just decoupage it on here as is. So I got my Mod Podge out, got it ready. I even spritzed my decoupage paper down with a little bit of water. And then I realized I wanted to paint this little cutting board first, because I was afraid that the image might get lost in the wood and you wouldn't be able to see it that great. So I took some vintage linen by DIY and just gave it one good coat, and just the top. I didn't paint the sides or the back, just the top. And then before it got completely dry, I took some faded burlap by DIY and offloaded a little bit of the paint, and then just kind of streaked it and blended it through there just to make it not so stark. It just kind of dirtied it up a little bit, grunged it up a little bit. And then I took the IOD vintage texture stamp and some stone gray ink, and we're going to give this little cutting board some texture. I took the ink and just pat it on there. Never rub your stamps. Always pat them up and down, and then just flip it over and give it a little press. Don't move it, just straight up and down. And then there was a little piece at the top that didn't get any ink. So there was some ink we didn't use. So that's how we fixed that. I'm going to be sure to clean that up with a wet wipe right away to take good care of our stamps because we pay good money for them. And look at that beautiful crackle that stamp gave this piece. Okay, now we can wet down our paper again. And then we are going to use this method that I learned from Brandy at the DIY Struggle. And I also have seen my friend Sammy use this method. But this fan brush, friends, this fan brush, it's amazing. So just put down your Mod Podge and then a little Mod Podge on top. And with that decoupage paper being a little bit wet, it was amazing. Now I'm going to use this little finger sponge with a little bit of that ink on it, that gray ink, stone gray ink, and just smudge up the edges a little bit. Going to wrap a little piece of jute around, tie it in a knot, and then this one is going to be finished. But we are going to make this two-sided because we like two-sided projects on this channel. So we're just going to snip those little ends off to the length that we think looks good. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to take Aviary. It's a beautiful green color by DIY, and we're going to just paint that square area in the middle of this little cutting board. And you can see there, I didn't get that on camera, but you all know how to paint. I'm going to dry it with my heat gun, and just like that, with the magic of editing, it is dry. I'm going to take this beautiful stencils that Brandy created, and I have seen her cut her stencils up on her channel, so no fear, I'm not worried about cutting it. I'm going to keep it in a little plastic sleeve so it doesn't get lost. I'm going to tape it down with some painter's tape, and I'm going to try this method that I've seen a lot of people do. I've just never tried it myself. I love Saltwash as an additive to paint to make it thicker and give it texture. So I'm going to take about a teaspoon of the Saltwash and put it in a cup. I'm showing you here, it comes with this little scoop and it has little markings in there. And then I'm going to take some Aviary, the same color as the background. I'm going to mix it really well with a popsicle stick. And then I'm going to use that same popsicle stick to smear it onto my stencil. I've always been very leery because I was afraid that once I started putting that on there and smearing it around, that it would seep underneath the stencil. But it did not. I was very careful to kind of go with the design, but I put a nice thick layer on there and smoothed it out evenly. And then I took an old stencil brush and I just stippled all over the top of it and pounced to give it some texture. And then I said a little prayer, crossed my fingers, and peeled the tape. Lifted up the stencil and wait until you see the results. It is absolutely gorgeous. Nothing seeped. Nothing bled. It's just beautiful and I'm happy. Now I'm going to take some clear wax by DIY. Now I get all my DIY products, Saltwash, IOD products from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. She has a beautiful website as well. It's www.unicorndustdesigns.com. So if you're interested in any of the products that you see me using here or any other products that are by IOD, DIY, or Saltwash, go ahead and go over there and check out her website. Both websites that I mentioned in this video today will be in the description box below. I'm going to take some white wax by DIY and just very lightly, gently go over just the raised area. And then I'm very, very gently with a very light hand, wiping a little bit of it back. A tiny little twine bow up top, and we are done.
I hope that you're enjoying this video and all the beautiful things that Brandy sent me. If you are new to my channel, hello, my name is Kendra, you're watching Late Night Creations, and I'm so glad that you clicked this video. But now let's get back to crafting.
This little decor piece is from a project I started once upon a time and never finished. I purchased it, I believe, at Aldi, and it was a two-sided decor piece. And I painted it, I believe, with skeleton key, and just never finished it. Now I'm going to use this beautiful decoupage paper, and I wanted to use the part where that clock was, but you'll see I changed my mind. I'm going to paint the top side with faded burlap. I'm going to open this up, and I wanted to use the clock, but when I put it on there, I couldn't really get the clock and the butterfly without getting the flower, and I didn't want to cut the flower in half and leave half of it for next time. I was trying to be mindful of what I was leaving behind. I don't want to be wasteful because this paper is way too beautiful to waste any of it. So I decided to go to a different area on the paper. And I love that clock, and this just worked out perfectly. So I just pressed it where I needed it, the part that I needed, and then I folded it. And then I'm going to take a paintbrush with some water and go over those lines with a pretty heavy amount of water because we're going to rip it, because that's the look I'm going for. So once I get it all nice and wet, I'm going to use a cheap putty knife that I picked up, I'm pretty sure, at Dollar Tree, and probably a long time ago. And I'm just going to use it to help me rip the paper so I get a nice ripped edge, but rip it evenly, an organized rip. And then I'm going to take Mod Podge. I'm going to apply it with this fantastic fan brush, a fantastic fan brush. Did you catch that? Oh, everybody wants to be a comedian. Okay, I'm going to wipe off the excess around the edges because there's always a little drippage, and we don't want that. And then we're going to wait. We're going to let that completely dry. It was a beautiful day in Texas today, so I let it dry outside. And then I'm going to place my decoupage paper right where I want it. I'm going to use a little parchment paper to protect it, and I'm going to use my little mini heat press. You can use whatever kind of iron you want. Just make sure that you have no steam. This is going to reactivate that Mod Podge and make that decoupage paper one with our project. Absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm going to use that finger sponge to grunge the edge up just a little bit, but you'll see later in the project we're going to use some dark wax on there, so it didn't really matter. Now I'm going to use this beautiful wood embellishment. I'm going to paint it with a little black dress, give it one coat, and it's absolutely beautiful. Can I say absolutely beautiful one more time? Because I'm in love with this little wood embellishment piece. Thank you, Brandy. Now it's all painted and it's beautiful just like this, but we are not leaving it like this. No, 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 no. We are going to add some Iron Patina Paint by Dixie Belle because we're going to make it a little rusty crusty. But I'm not going to paint the entire piece with this. I'm just going to give it a light coat in some areas and a heavier coat in some areas and no coat in some areas. No rhyme or reason to it, just where I think I want it rusted. So you see I'm just kind of dabbing the paint on here and there and just lightly in some places and heavier in some places because I want it to look rusty in some places and I want some of that black to show through. Now I'm going to take the patina green spray and, well, I have to open it up first. It doesn't spray when it's closed. I'm just going to spray a little bit on my little tin cookie sheet here. I love using these tin disposable cookie sheets from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use this stiff paintbrush and just dip it in that liquid and dab it. Then I'm going to dry it with my heat gun, and it turns out absolutely gorgeous. I think it looks like some rusted wrought iron, which is exactly what I was going for. I'm going to place it on here so you can see where it's going to go. I'm going to place it just like that. But first we're going to flip it over and we're going to work on this because we like double-sided projects on this channel. This is a piece of resin that I had poured some time ago, and we're going to use it today with the Countryside Memoirs stamp. This is the new collection for 2025 from IOD, and we are going to paint it in. We're going to paint the little medallion, little piece here, whatever you want to call this little thing, with crinoline. Now I'm going to take the stamps that I'm choosing. I had to prime it with my sandpaper because I haven't used them yet. I'm going to place them where I want them on here, and then I'm going to take the little piece of plastic sheet right here, and I'm going to press it down on there. Now it's going to be exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to take my black ink and again just tap, tap, tap very carefully, no rubbing, tap, tap, tap. And then I'm going to make sure that I don't have any excess around the edges, or I'm going to clean it up with a baby wipe, and I didn't. I did a really good job. So then I'm going to just hover it till I get it where I want it, and then I'll press it down. Hold it with one hand. I'm holding it right there with my left hand, and then I'm going to press it with my right hand. I'm pressing with my left fingers, and yay, it looks great. Clean it up with a wet wipe. Then I saw a little blank space. See, I'm cleaning that edge up where I got a little ink overage, and I'm just going to ink part of the stamp. And then I'm going to glue it to the inside of my little shadow box. I'm going to glue a little bow that I made. I got this ribbon at Sam's Club. They have it every spring. I've had this big roll for a couple years. I was in Sam's Club today, and I saw it there again this year. So do not pass up the ribbon at Sam's Club. Now we're going to flip it back over. We're going to use some Titebond Quick and Thick. My favorite glue. If you haven't tried it, please give it a try. You will love it. And a little bit of hot glue for a quick fix. Place it down where we want it, and this project is complete. I purchased this little wooden watering can decor piece either on Whatnot or at the thrift store. I cannot remember, but it is cute. And we're not going to do a whole lot to it, not going to paint it. I'm going to just use this beautiful piece of decoupage paper on it. And it's going to make it look 10 times better, 100 times better. I'm going to use that same method with the wet paintbrush to rip the edges of this, and going to rip the edges that we didn't even have to tear to the outside edges because I want that ripped edge look. I like that. Now, when I put it on the watering can, I need it to go around that little handle part. So I'm just going to put it up there. I'm going to wet that part. I'm just going to rip it. It's going to look like it belongs on there. Look at that. Would ya look at that? And then we're going to use the same method. We're going to wet that decoupage paper. We're going to lay it on there. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to lay down some Mod Podge, smooth it out on top. Lay down some Mod Podge, smooth it out on top. And that decoupage paper is it's a little bit wet, so it's soaking this up. And this is a rough surface, so this decoupage paper is like going down in those little crevices of the wood, and it just, oh, it's so beautiful. I wish you could see it in person. It's so pretty. Okay, now this is a new mold from IOD. I'm using a little bit of cornstarch in it because we're going to use some DOS air dry clay. And I'm just going to squish it up in my hands, roll it around a little bit, get it nice and warm in my hands so it's nice and pliable. And then I'm just going to press it with my fingers and my thumbs and just kind of rub off the excess. I don't know what I did there, but whatever. And then just rub off the excess. And it has like a little micro edge, a little ledge, if you will. and it helps you be able to just kind of wipe it. When you wipe it off there, it just sort of stops. It's perfect. Then I have this little tool. I'm not sure where I got this little yellow tool. You can use an old gift card, an old credit card. It would work just as good. But this little tool works really nice. It's like an old putty knife or something too. But I like to use it to scrape over the edge to make the back of it smooth and level. And then it also gets rid of all the little crumbs on the edges. So this works really nice. Just one nice little swoop, and then we're gonna turn it over, and you do not have to wait for this to dry in the mold. Turn it over, and well, I lost a little part of the branch, but no fear, that's okay. We'll just pull it out, and when we put it on our birdhouse, or this is not a birdhouse, this is a watering can, we'll just glue it to it. I'm gonna use the Type Bond Quick and Thick in this little spatula and put it on there, glue it down, and then we're going to glue this little branch that broke off, and we'll just glue it right up there where it's supposed to be, and nobody will know unless you tell them that it was broken. We're just going to mash it in there. Now I have a bunch of different paint colors here. I have Cake Batter, I have Queen Bee, and I have Liquid Sunshine, all by DIY. And I'm just using a little bit of all of them on this bird. And then I'm using Weathered Wood for the twig, the branch. And it was really hard for me to get on camera painting it because my head would get in the way. But I also put a ribbon on the handle off camera, but this is how this little watering can turned out. Okay, I got these adorable little napkins from the Crafty Cruise Getaway Napkin Exchange, and I got this little wooden tray from Amazon in a nestled bundle for pretty cheap. I think they're in my Amazon storefront. So I chose some paint colors that I thought matched with the napkins and painted the tray in Aviary. I believe it was Aviary, no Farm Girl, Fancy Farm Girl. And I'm just showing you the satisfaction of when you use painter's tape and peel it off, how nice and crisp those lines are. Then I reapplied the painter's tape to the green and used vintage linen on the inside bottom of the tray. Now I'm just going to take a little sanding block, and I'm just going to sand the edges of that green a little bit on the edges and the sides and the bottom and the back and just all around it, just a little bit to distress it. I don't want a whole lot of distressing, but just a little bit. This is the smallest of the nestled trays that I purchased. Now, I took some rice paper and put it through my printer with even the, it's just a saying from Peter Rabbit, and I forget what it says. You can read it there. Even the smallest one can change the world. And I'm just going to trim it down to fit inside this little napkin. I trimmed the napkins down as close to the image as I possibly could. The rabbits I could get down really close. Those rabbits were the cutest little napkins, and there were 4 of those little rabbits per napkin. So I was able to just use 2 of them. Now I'm going to use some Mod Podge to attach the little wreath. Oh my gosh, that little laurel wreath with those. It just matches those rabbits so beautiful. And the same gal brought both of these napkins. I believe it was Angie that brought these napkins, and they were just so precious. So I'm going to apply a thin coat of Mod Podge on the back of the rabbits and the wreath and rice paper. So, and then I'm going to let it dry completely. Well, that one was still wet, but I'm putting it over there to dry, and I'm going to do both rabbits and the wreath with the saying in the middle on the back side. You can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to lay it out how I want it because they're completely dry inside the tray. Look how adorable. And I didn't really measure anything. I just eyeballed it, and it turns out fine. And I'm going to use my little heat press. You can use an iron. Just don't use any steam, and that will reactivate that Mod Podge, and it gives you a flawless, no wrinkle finish, and it is beautiful. And I always seal it with clear DIY wax, so that way I don't get any extra wrinkles. And I'm just going to do that all the way across until I get all of it adhered down. And it's such a beautiful finish. I am in love with this little tray. Now, I'm not going to use it to serve anything or use it as a tray. I'm using it as a decor piece. So I decided it needed a little something more. And you know I'm not really big on greenery and florals, but I decided to make a tiny little bow with some of my Sam's Club ribbon and my bow dabra that my friend Brandy from Making It My Own DIYs got me. If you don't watch her channel, you need to go check her out. And then just some little pieces of greenery, some little sprigs that I had in my stash. I'm just going to glue a couple pieces of those down, glue the bow in the middle, glue a couple more little pieces of sprigs of that greenery amongst the bow, and this one will be done. Let me know what you think about this little precious tray. I absolutely love it. I hope that you like it. And yeah, I think it's just adorable. Oh, one more thing. I have these tiny little half beads I purchased for some project, and so I have a bunch of them left, and I thought I would just glue one right in the middle instead of a flower. I usually will put a little flower in the middle, but I thought I'm just going to put one of these natural little beads right in the middle of that bow. Oh, not done yet. We're going to white wax a little around the edges just to give it a little more dimension, distressing, whatever. The white wax. I love the white wax. And then I did do clear wax. I gave the whole thing a clear wax seal, but I didn't show that on camera. So here's our final piece, and I am absolutely loving it. Okay, next up, we're going to use some aviary paint, this other little wooden tray, and another napkin that I got from the Crafty Cruise Getaway Napkin Exchange. I'm also going to use some faded burlap. Okay, so I painted the entire little wooden tray with the aviary, and now I'm going to paint the inside bottom of this tray with the faded burlap. Now, I'm not being as pedantic about this, so I didn't tape it off, because I'm going to Mod Podge that napkin over this faded burlap. But because when you take the plies of napkin apart, okay, it's all dry, then the napkins become pretty see-through, transparent. So you can kind of see through them. So I wanted to have a background that was going to look good. So I'm putting a pretty thick coat of Mod Podge. You can see it's completely dry. I'm showing you that I took the two plies apart. You can see how thin that napkin is. You would have been able to see that green through there. So I picked a color that I thought would look good in the background. So same procedure that I do with all the iron-on method for decoupaging is using the iron. I love this method. I have been seeing my friend Sammy using the saran wrap method, with using the saran wrap. I have tried that in the past, and I may give that a try again, but I just love this flawless method. Now, I'm giving the entire project a coat of DIY clear wax. I'm going to use my awesome makeup brush, and then to get in the little corners that it won't reach in, I'm just going to use a little piece of an old t-shirt that I cut up. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of dark wax on just the edges and the corners, and a little bit here and there. I used the clear wax first because I didn't want the dark wax to be so dark. So the clear wax helps to make the dark wax not quite as dark. Now, I didn't do the clear on the bottom first, so you can see that it's a little bit darker. I'm just using what was left over on the brush. So here's this little tray. I think it turned out beautiful. That's a beautiful napkin.